Welcome to Doug in Exile. Today's theme is that Democrats are in a cult. I will say even it's a racist cult. Shout out to the Quad Club. Glad you guys are here. That's the people that watch 4 episodes a day. You're so generous with my time. I give you my entire 8-hour workday to make you content. And I think it's great. It's the greatest job I've ever had to try to build up America, defend the patriot, and destroy the Democrat Party, which is the greatest threat to all of our lives today in America. It is rooted in paganism, leftism, Marxism, atheism. And that's why I kind of go over the whole culture. This one's going to talk a little bit about race, mostly really bad arguments by Democrats. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like this kind of content, you know, I'm here to work for you. So why not subscribe? That's how you say thank you. Here's CNN.
But let's just talk about the logistics for a second. Number one, I don't think it's accurate that in your open you referred to it as Trump's military occupation. When Governor Hochul here in New York put the National Guard in the subways and in some crime-ridden areas, I don't think we referred to it as military occupation.
That's Arthur Idea, okay? Now, this is an important logical argument. This is how you compare apples to apples. You know, Abby Phillips and all the Democrats are pretending to be upset. The reason why they're upset with Trump sending the military into D.C. and instantly ending crime and murder, they're saying, on principle, they're upset that the president would perform a military occupation of a civilian area. And then he goes, Kathy Hochul did the same thing, brought in the National Guard to lock down the subways, and they did not call it a military operation. So why did you treat them different? Oh, because Hochul's a Democrat and Trump is a Republican.
Why? I ride the subways. I loved when they were there. I mean, law-abiding citizens love that. Are you kidding me? I wish there were more police officers and have one in every single car in the subway at every platform. We can't. That's why Governor Hochul said we're going to put them out and around. Law-abiding citizens, I don't see them objecting or looking to it as like it's a takeover by the military. I'm walking down the street. I walk out of my law firm at 1 o'clock in the morning in Midtown Manhattan, and I see a military guy there. You think I'm upset about that, or am I thrilled about it?
Why you're not.
You know, Dennis Prager, who I think is very wise, and I listened to him a lot back in the day, he used to say, if you're walking down a dark street in LA and you find 4 minorities following you, coming up behind you, or coming towards you down the sidewalk, would you rather that they were coming out of a Bible study or that they were coming out of any other organization, let's say, you know, the university or high school, a basketball game? Would you rather to find out that they were coming out of a Bible study or that they were coming out of a basketball game? It's not that basketball games are evil. It's just that basketball is neutral, whereas a Bible study means there's values being put in those kids, those youths. Same thing with National Guard. If you have 4 strange youths coming at you down a dark street, you and your girlfriend are walking down the street back to your car, would you want to find out in that dark urban area that they came from a bowling alley, you know, or boot camp in the military? He's making a great point, and I'm going to ask you, I'll let you in the chat put all that together in your own head on what I'm getting at here. This is about values. And so here's NBC reports so far this year. Chicago is still averaging over 1 killing a day because Trump is saying he wants to go in and militarize Chicago to end crime. Now, the Democrats think he wants to militarize Chicago to take over the world because he's Hitler. These are interesting stats. To me, this is a short clip.
So far this year, the city is still averaging over 1 killing a day. Just this weekend, there were 3 homicides and 27 people were shot.
We still have a problem. We have a problem with illegal guns. We have a high murder rate. We need help with
that. 27 people were shot. This is normal to Democrat politics. By the way, that's NBC News doing those statistics. And this is ideology. Trump is presenting a different ideology, which is why he's making it safe. This is a clip that's been going around a lot. I know you guys have probably seen it. This is from Benny Johnson, but I like the sentiment. This is when you ask Chicagoans and they might even be Democrats, many of them say, I would like to see a little more support on our streets.
Children can't walk around the community without fear of being hurt or kidnapped or having a drive-by. So it's what these numbers that they're expressing, we don't feel it in our quality of life.
We don't feel the numbers they're expressing in our quality of life. The Democrat math that keeps saying this place is safe. I'll show you J.D. Pritzker telling that lie that the streets are safe. The people, the black residents in Chicago on the streets sure don't feel safe. They talk to each other. You don't wear your bling at night. You don't wear your watch at night. If you're a woman, you don't walk down the streets at night. You don't go into certain neighborhoods. That's wisdom. The word gets out about how to stay safe. Democrats, though, everything is still, they're telling this guy that I'm only saying that Trump should clean it up because I'm some kind of a racist. That's Democrat branding. Everything is racist. Whites are racist. Blacks are oppressed. And it keeps them from being able to solve problems. Their system, nothing works. Here's more.
So quickly, Abby, because anytime that we play something from Stephen Miller, it would be journalistic integrity.
Now, she brought up Stephen Miller. This is Trump's #1 guy. I think it's a very serious offense to call someone a racist. And she's going to say that he is flat out a white supremacist, Stephen Miller, who's a Jew.
To point out that he is a white supremacist and he is the brainchild behind this policy. That's not my opinion. That's actual fact.
That's a fact. She's opening herself up to a lawsuit. She better come up with some serious evidence that Stephen Miller is a white supremacist. That's a fact, she says, empirical fact. That is, it's not up to your opinion. That's insane to call a little Jewish man like Stephen Miller. This lady is the problem in America. She is bad for minorities. If they're believing her, you're going to live a life of misery. If you think someone like Stephen Miller is racist, you probably think I'm a racist.
And for him to purport lies from the Oval Office as a white supremacist,
I don't know.
it should be pointed out. It's reporting Washington Wall Street Journal's own reporting.
Or he goes, more bigot aspersions. Liberal blacks always play the race card. Liberal whites always play the race card. It's not even, it's an equal opportunity employer. If everything in my life is because of blacks, what would you guys think of me? If I blamed everything in my life on blacks and said it's their racism against whites, that is why my life is so miserable. Those Asians, they do so well in school and my kids don't do so well in school or playing piano. My kids can't play piano well because of those Asians are what's wrong with me. The Jews control the world. You see that all over the internet. It's the Jews. They control Hollywood. And that's my life's biggest problem. The Jews, they pull the strings around the world. That's what keeps me up at night. That's what's wrong with my life. That's why I can't pay my rent. That's why I can't have a job. It's the Mexicans. Ooh, my son and I just went out to Mexican food and a bunch of Mexicans served us in the restaurant. I said, should I get the carne asada? He goes, oh, yes, senor. Get the carne asada. It's delicious. It was the best piece of meat I've had in Tennessee. The flavor, I don't know what they marinated that in, but I just kind of said a prayer. Lord, thank you for Mexican cuisine, for these fine Mexicans running this restaurant. I hope they're all legal. Don't take this restaurant away. Blacks are told over and over again, whites are your biggest problem. Everything that's happened to you is because of the white man. Here's J.D. Pritzker with some really stupid comments about Trump. Watch this. This is from the Benny Show.
We're very pleased about the progress that we're making. I know.
Hold on, I'll rewind it. Let's go back so you can see the lettering on. I know some of you guys like to read the lettering.
We're very pleased about the progress that we're making. I know that I live rent-free in the president's head.
If you live rent-free in the president's head, it better have a lot of square footage, if you know what I mean.
And I wish he would spend some time in Chicago so that he could see what a lovely city we have.
Has Trump spent any time in Chicago? That's Trump Tower. He was making that statement right in front of Trump Tower. I'm pretty sure Trump has spent a little time in your city of Chicago. If he has a giant skyscraper sitting behind your fat head, we're going to more. We only went a matter of blocks to make some of these arrests as the Trump administration continues to crack down on crime. This is blocks away from the White House.
So the U.S. Marshal Service took Fox News out onto D.C. streets to see the president's crackdown at work firsthand. Our very own Alexis McAdams went on that exclusive ride-along. She is joining us live from D.C. this morning with what she saw. Alexis, how'd it go?
Hey, Bill. Yeah, it went pretty well for the U.S. Marshals. They sure were busy. And what stuck out to me being here in Washington, D.C. was that we didn't have to go far from where I'm standing right now to see the actions. You see that White House right behind me? Well, we only went a matter of blocks to make some of these arrests. As
blocks from the White House, there's criminals running around. How is this not news that like murders are happening blocks from the White House? No wonder why Trump is saying, I'm going to use the National Guard to clean up this neighborhood. This is nuts. There goes the neighborhood. Property values will go up because of this, by the way. Everyone, even the poor, anyone who owns a house around here, your property value is going up. Thank you, Trump.
The Trump administration continues their crackdown on crime, and they sure were busy here in the nation's Capitol Watch.
We communicating, letting you know whether we're on the bottom floor, middle floor, up top. If we're going to be opening the back door or anything like that, we will let you know.
And in they went there to that apartment complex, cameras rolling as we spent hours in different parts of Washington, D.C. And there were 2 men arrested when we were there, rolling up in high crime areas as the team served warrants for suspects wanted for a long list of violent crimes. Like what? Well, robbery, carjacking, assault, just to name a few. And these people were just all walking around D.C. They were not in custody. One man wanted...
They were already, there was a warrant for them because they released them. Wanted for carjacking.
Connection with an armed carjacking in Maryland told us that, why are you sending me back to jail? I won't even be there very long.
The judge is literally going to say we're going to put him on a 3-day hold.
The judge, now you're going to need a translator for this. They had to blot out his face.
And once the 3-day hold is up, Anarani never shows up. I done been over D.C. jail 6 times for the same warrant. They never...
He's been to the D.C. judge 6 times on the same warrant, and they let him back out on the street. That's the Democrat way.
Show up. D.C. jail has to release me. They release me. It's the same thing every time. The same thing every time.
All right, so we'll see what happens this time.
Oh, look at this officer. I see a black man. Just in case you thought it was just the criminals. No. We have great members of our police, ICE agents, National Guard.
Now that President Trump is here, Gadi Saralta, he's the current director of U.S. Marshal Service. He was sworn in earlier this month, and he is running point for 20-plus agencies, local, state, federal, out here on the streets, part of President Trump's Make D.C. Safe and Beautiful task.
Thank you, U.S. Marshals, for your service making our streets safe. But the public airways are not safe with CNN, this lady once again going off on race. The Democrat Party, this is their whole plan. They're going to do this for the next election cycle.
I think the reason why you may feel that way, Arthur, is because you maneuver in society with a certain privilege. The question.
Whoa. Arthur, the reason why you feel that way is you maneuver through society with a certain privilege. What privilege would that be? Tiffany Cross. Do I have the same privilege? Are you talking about this privilege? You see that? My privilege, my white privilege is the reason why I have my beliefs that the National Guard helps clean up D.C. and is good to stop crime. And it would be good to do in subways in New York and in Chicago. And Tiffany Cross, this is so disgusting. Imagine if I said, you would think that, Tiffany Cross, you look kind of, this is like all you people think this way. No wonder why you have that opinion. You are black. No, I don't attribute her identity to the melanin in her skin, the DNA of her country of origin. I don't care if you're from Africa, by the way. You can find other blacks that have a completely different values. How does she explain the white liberals on this show that agree with her? Would she attribute that to their white privilege? No, they're never agreeing with her because of their white privilege. It's only when you disagree with her that she claims that you believe that it's because of your white privilege. It's racism.
Privilege. The question is, who are these?
Well, hold on. What privilege? When I get on the subway, just tell me the privilege. When I'm dressed like this on the subway, I am a target. That is.
He looks like Mr. Clean, maybe Kingpin from Spider-Man. He shows his dress. He goes, it's not a privilege to walk into the subway with this suit on. I'm a target.
It's not a privilege. I'm a target. There's the guy who probably has a wallet and a watch.
Arthur, I want you to be
That's not
open.
privilege.
I want you to have a little bit of intellectual curiosity and be open and let me finish.
I want you to, this is like and I hate this tone of voice. This is so condescending. This is human resources, guys. Anyone out there in my audience, you guys, anyone get sent to human resources? I've been sent to human resources because of my mouth so many times, but this is how they talk. If you'd show a little bit of, intellectual curiosity, you might, if you were a little more open-minded, Arthur, it's so condescending. Just call him closed-minded. Just call him a bigot. This passive-aggressive stuff is another one. It's therapy speak. I hate it.
And be open and let me finish my point.
I'm very curious.
You be open. No, Tiffany, you be open. Are you open that you're a bigot? Are you open that you hate whites? Are you open that you accuse others of white privilege? Only people who politically disagree with you?
Thank you. I think when you ask the question, who is the militarized law enforcement there to protect and who are they there to protect from? And so often in this country, particularly, that is how law enforcement swole their ranks. There was so much violence against people of color, Black people in particular in this country, that they said it's okay to beat a Black person, to murder a Black person, but you gotta,
When was that? When was that? It's okay to beat a Black person? Maybe in the deep South, in the Democrat South. These were Democrat areas, not Republican. And nowhere in Republican areas was it okay to beat a Black person or treat them like an animal. They were formally treated like an animal by Democrats in the South, mostly the South, but you could see where it would be in other streets too. Treat them like it's okay to beat them. By the way, today you'll find Blacks who are raised in this culture that it is okay to beat whites. It's not even right to call them Blacks, though, because it's not Black conservative Republicans that think it's okay to beat whites. It's Black and white liberal Democrats that think it's okay to beat whites. Just so you know.
You gotta be wearing a badge when you do it.
Who are the victims?
Do you want to listen or you can't talk and listen at the same time?
No, there's condescending feminist teacher. Do you want to talk or listen? You can't. She wants to lecture for 18 hours without being interrupted. And she's going to sit there and insult him and say, really, I'm sorry, but she's really dumb. That means she has probably a lot of college degrees.
Let me just tell you. It doesn't sound like it. My point to you is I am telling you on the front lines what is happening. And there are militarized police force going and harassing longtime law-abiding citizens of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, we saw one of the law-abiding citizens. He's the guy that got arrested for carjacking, armed assault. And he said he's been to the judge 6 times. He's been arrested 6 times and they're always going to let him go. That's what those D.C. National Guards were breaking into the house.
And so when we, who are probably a little more familiar with American history, perhaps than you, look
a little more familiar with American history, perhaps than you, a honky, a white guy. Who says that? Who talks this way? It's just, this is so condescending. I think it's funny. I mean, I think she's so dumb. I think it's funny. Some of us are a little more acquainted with our history. Really, what history? That this country was the first country to free race-based slaves in the world's history. We've had slavery for the entire world's history. This country was the first, primarily by whites, to turn against race-based slavery. In fact, we had a war called the Civil War, where our southern states Democrat states wanted to leave the country over slavery. By the way, anyone who tells you different, and I'll hear it, even in our own school taught it, it's a lie. They'll spread a lie that the Civil War was not about race. It absolutely was about owning slaves and race. Okay, the South, they totally changed the entire schooling on that. I read the documents. It's in all of the philosophy of all of the people involved with it, said it was about owning slaves, which is a race-based institution. There were other forms of slavery in the Bible where it was okay to own another person. It was part of conquest or indentured servitude, or there was debtor's prison. It was not in any way in the Bible because of your skin color. It was in America. We fought a civil war. We shot each other in the face to free Black slaves. Period. Okay, we'll argue this with Terry later. I know some of you guys are going to get upset because you've been brainwashed.
At the military turning the police force on its own people, we remember the examples like Tulsa, when law enforcement dropped bombs on its own community. We know what it is like to have people.
From that, though.
We are not so far. We are not so far from that. We are not so. We are actually not so far from that.
Yeah, she's a lunatic. Okay, go make your point. It's so confusing that I have to end on a happy note. Here's the Babylon Bee. Man unsure if he's becoming more virtuous with age or just too tired to sin. That's for all my middle-aged people. You know, losing half of my testosterone at 59 years old really has taken the edge off of things. We'll continue with more DC madness, the Democrats unraveling themselves. Coming right up. Thank you guys for watching. Shout out to the Quad Club. Bless you all. Say a prayer for me. I'll say a prayer for you. I'm Doug in Exile. Subscribe.